and connecting to my magic and my ability to manifest and bring energy to me. And to me, it's a way to really slow down and get more present with myself and to notice. I think that I know that I've had in the past, I would carry around energy and tension without realizing it until, somebody would be like, relax your jaw. And I'm like, whoa, like I had no idea.
Hey, welcome back to the show. It's Michaela Light here on the Intuitive Leadership Mastery podcast. And I'm here with Jessica Huntington, and we're both at Healing House in Peru. And she has an amazing story around manifesting money to share with us, and she had a few problems with it. So we'll talk about those. And if you don't know Jessica, she is a transformational coach, I would say, and you help people shift through changes and transformations in their business and lives.
That is accurate.
Yes. And originally from California, though currently in Peru.
Yeah, San Francisco, California, and living here in Cusco, Peru for the time being. Yes.
Yay. So when I met you the other day, you were having a bit of a meltdown. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, I was unfolding a bit. So I am in a phase of my business development and my personal growth understanding where I've been focusing a lot of my attention on abundance and bringing money into my life and attracting clients and really letting go of the starving artist mindset that I've been living in for a really long time. And so, and connecting to my magic and my ability to manifest and bring energy to me. And about, I guess it was almost a week ago, I was on the bus and I had just gotten paid for 4 weeks of work that I had completed, and I got paid in cash. And
that must have felt so great.
It felt amazing. It felt really good. And when it was handed to me, it was said, may this multiply. And I said, it absolutely will. And I put it in my bag, and then I went on the bus, and as I was getting off of the bus, the woman behind me unzipped my zipper on my backpack and took my wallet out of my backpack in the 30 seconds that it took me to get off the bus. So by the time I got
When
off the bus...
When did you discover that?
Right, pretty soon after I got off the bus, I realized what had just happened. So it didn't
you didn't know at the time.
When it was happening, I didn't know. Yeah, there was one of those like woulda, coulda, shouldas where I was like, if only I had turned around and noticed what was happening. So that thought, along with a lot of others, really started racing through my mind. I actually immediately went into kind of like a problem-solving, moving perspective into gratitude, because I noticed that in the same pocket that my wallet was in, I also had my cell phone that is, expensive cell phone, and attached to my cell phone is like my ID and my credit cards and all of that.
Wow. So she didn't get that.
She didn't get that. She didn't take that. She just took the wallet with a lot of cash.
Yes.
And so I noticed that I was, essentially counting my blessings, really thinking about, okay, well, it wasn't a violent attack, and I still have my cell phone, and I've got all of my cards and all the things that would have been really hard to replace, and telling myself, like, I didn't lose anything that I can't create or bring back into my life. And kind of went into almost a little bit of that, like, survival, get through it, like, power through.
Because you had no cash at that point, right?
I had no cash on me. Yeah. So I had probably about like a 15-minute walk from my bus stop to Healing House, which is where I was heading. And so for these 15 minutes while I was walking, I was just like flooding with a lot of different emotions and trying to navigate everything that comes up when you're violated. And so, that
So what kind of emotions were you feeling?
Great question. I was feeling, first and foremost, I was feeling violated. I felt a lot of embarrassment, and I felt a lot of shame come up as well. A lot of like personal blame of woulda, coulda, shoulda. I should have taken it out. I shouldn't have had it in my back pocket, like of my backpack. All of these things where I could have done something differently in order to not have had that happen. And also frustration and anger at the person who stole from me. And then in addition to those feelings, I was also feeling a lot of compassion, honestly, for trying to give myself compassion to be present with my emotions and to have compassion for the person who stole. Because immediately what I realized I was thinking was, I hope that something bad happens from them spending that money that they stole. And then I thought to myself, I don't actually want that. I don't want to put that energy out there. If they're in a state in their life where they're stealing from people, that is not a happy, comfortable place to be in. And I don't want to be wishing anyone any more harm. And really just thinking that I was grateful for being in a place where I didn't feel the need to steal. And that person did. And so navigating that all of this in the 15-minute walk to Healing House. Yeah, like sadness, I was also trying to recognize where I was feeling, like I did like an energy, like body scan, and I recognized that I was holding so much tension in my throat and in my chest. It was super, super tight. It was hard for me to like breathe. And
so a body scan, for people who haven't done that, just means you're scanning through from the top to the bottom of your body and noticing what you notice.
Exactly. I'm just taking the time to really come within and notice, from top to bottom. I sometimes also go bottom to top, literally like beep, beep, beep. How we doing? And really noticing, like, what does it feel like in this place of my body? Where am I holding tension? Where does this, where it needs?
And why would you do that instead of just realizing that you had stuff in your throat and heart? Why would you scan for stuff?
To me, it's a way to really slow down and get more present with myself, and to notice. I think that I know that I've had in the past, I would carry around energy and tension without realizing it, until somebody would be like, "Relax your jaw," and I'm like, "Whoa!" Like I had no idea that I was even clenching. And so by doing that practice of noticing where I'm holding tension and actually taking a moment to like breathe into it, I can really become aware of where I'm holding and clenching. And then also recognizing, when stuff like that happens, recognizing where I'm holding it in my body allows me to be able to bring more like compassion and love and into myself and into those places. So it's, an awareness, I think.
More awareness, more consciousness.
And,
just while we're talking about this, people listening may not have their cash stolen, but you may have other business setbacks happen, as you're an entrepreneur. And, it's easy to go through a cascade of negative emotions. So I think that's a great takeaway to just take a moment. And I love how it worked out. You were taking a walk, because I find walking is such a great way to process emotions.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of lucky that your bus stopped 15 minutes away, so you had enough time to get some exercise, get some air.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it had its pros and cons too, like being able to have that time to walk and process and kind of reflect. I was able to really utilize that time and kind of move energy. And on the other end, I didn't feel super safe, I was by myself. This thing had just happened to me. And I felt like I was also navigating, trying to protect myself and keep up energetic things. And I didn't feel, I think because of being in public immediately after this happened, I didn't feel comfortable to really like dive super deep into everything. And so I was very much immediately in like, everything's fine, we're good. Hold it together.
Yes. Oh, so your strong woman covered up with armor what was going on.
It was like my intuition tapped into, this is like what is needed for you to like navigate through this space right now.
Because really you felt like, breaking down, crying, having a tantrum, and probably some other things. Might have said a few words.
I think that too, like the shame blocked a lot of that as well. Like recognizing, like,
where did the shame come from? I know you said you thought you could have done it differently, but Was it an echo of earlier shame, or?
I think, I believe that shame hides itself inside of us all the time, and that it continues to build. And if we don't work on it and work through it, then anything that can trigger shame will immediately, like, it's like it's in this little area. Shame comes up, and then it links to the other shame that we're holding as well. So it
it's
can
like
definitely
you've got
amplify.
a tank where you store your shame in your body, and it fills up just like a what's that thing that toilets go into? A
Pipe?
no, a tank. You know, that some people have in their houses.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm forgetting what they call that, but anyway, you've got, or in your RV or whatever, where you have a tank and you have to empty it, and this shame is like a tank full of shit. If you don't empty it, it can kind of be triggered at any point. So,
absolutely.
So good to empty it. I apologize for the noise in the background. If you guys listening can hear that, where they're doing a little construction here. So, trade-off of being in a beautiful garden and so forth. But, just let us know as you're listening. If you can't hear us, we'll speak up. Okay. So how do you empty your shame tank? I'm curious now. You know.
Yeah. Compassion.
Oh.
I think it's been a big thing for me in the last, I would say, 5 years, where I've made the decision to really recognize and understand the shame that I was holding on to, and recognize that a lot of the shame wasn't actually mine.
Not yours.
It wasn't mine. No.
You were holding other people's shame in your tank?
I was holding other people's shame.
Isn't there a California regulation against mixing shame in your shame tank? Seems a bit, you know.
Yeah, it gets a little bit much. Yeah, a little bit much.
Yeah.
But recognizing, that, being, a very like flamboyant youth and very creative and eccentric, I would get looks from people, or people would try and normalize more, I would wear a really crazy skirt to school, and then somebody would say something about it, and I'm like, oh, it's not safe to do that, and I'm like shame about like my own true expression of myself. And so it wasn't that I actually had shame about it. Somebody else put their beliefs on me about what is correct or right. And then I decided, I agreed to it. I took it. They gave it to me, and I was like, okay, this is wrong.
So it takes two to fill up the shame tank.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody hands you their shame, you can just...
I'm just imagining a handful of shame here.
Here.
Maybe it's a brown kind of cylindrical object.
Slushy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can just be like, no thanks.
No thanks.
I don't need any of that. Thank you. Yeah.
Tank's full today.
I'm emptying. I'm running on an empty tank of shame.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I think that, I think too, when things happen, this isn't the first time in my life that there's been some sort of violation of my personal space. And I think...
And your money.
And I know, and money.
I mean, even if you'd left the handbag somewhere else and they hadn't come near you physically, I think you might have still felt violated if someone had taken my money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've had somebody come into my home before when I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then when I came home, I was like, it's still very violating.
I've had
whether
that.
You're there or
Someone
not.
stole something from where I was living, and it feels very violating. I don't feel safe,
Yeah.
So doubly so if it's a backpack on your back.
Yeah, and it happens on your person.
And trebly so if they kind of punch you around to take it, or threaten you or whatever. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. So anyway, coming back to where we were, you were walking along carrying this full tank of shame as it slushed around, together with your anger and sadness and guilt and all kinds of other emotions. How did that feel, having so many emotions going around inside you all at once with your armor on?
Yeah.
Holding it all in together.
Heavy and hot.
Heavy and hot, okay.
Yes, heavy and hot.
So you made it through this walk.
I did. And then I made it here to Healing House, and I walked in the front doors, and Michaela was standing at the reception desk with another one of our coworkers, and they asked me, how are you doing, Jessica? And I was like, well, Not great. I'm okay. I'm not great. And I started explaining what had happened. And as soon as I started talking about it, it was like all the tightness and heaviness that I was carrying around in my chest and my throat just like came out of my eyes through tears.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's because, I know it's because I felt like I was in a safe space that could be held. It was a container where I could kind of let down some guards and let down some, some of those like protection shields. And I think too, it was spinning around in my head, spinning around in my head, spinning around in my head. And then when I actually started verbalizing it out loud, it became a little bit more real, and it was, emotional. It was definitely a lot of emotions. And I am all for letting it rip. I'm all about like, if I need to cry, I need to cry. I want to let it out. I think like tears and energy, tears have energy, and if it's feeling like it's wanting to come out, then that's energy that needs to be released. If we suppress it, it needs to come out in some sort of.
I think tears have chemicals in them, toxins and other things. Often when people haven't cried for a long time, the tears are painful, and they do release stuff from the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but energetically, there's a lot of big release with tears or laughing or crying. Or, whatever people do when they're angry, hit pillows or whatever. Scream, that's a good one. Yeah, shake, another good one. So anyway, you were crying a little bit.
Yeah, I started to, and then right at that point, a yoga class started getting out right into the area that we were in, and I was like, no.
Well, you didn't say that.
No, but I think you picked up on that.
I did. I could tell you were inhibiting yourself.
I was.
Yeah.
I was starting to hold back again. I was going back into protective shell mode.
Yeah. So I just said, I didn't even speak to the tears. I just said, would you like to go into the garden?
You did. And I said, yes, I would really like that.
Yeah.
And so we came and sat actually like right
here.
here.
Yes. Yeah, you can see where the grass is burnt from the shame vomit that came out. No, I'm just kidding. So you did some more expressing. Was that helpful to express it? And if so, how? Why was it particularly helpful?
Yeah, it was really helpful. And what was really lovely was that you were able to create a space to ask questions and really listen to what was coming up, and then repeat back what you were hearing coming up, so that I can kind of hear and correct and be like, no, actually it's more like this, and also just to be seen and witnessed and heard, which is so important. And one of the things, that I work so hard on doing for other people, it's like a main part of what I figure is my offering to this world, is creating space for people to be seen and witnessed and heard, because it is absolutely powerful. And so that was the space that you were able to create for me to start talking through and answering those questions of like how I was feeling and what was coming up. And I had expressed to you that one of the things that I was feeling was that because I had really recently leaned into this abundant mindset, into letting go of the starving artist, and to really bring money into me and do visualizations of money coming through, like to me and through me, and cultivating that and really connecting back again to my magic and my ability to create my own reality through my intentions and my choices. To really focus on that, and then to have money stolen right when I got paid, made what it brought up for me was this feeling like, wow, I'm bad at manifesting. Like, I suck at this. Like, why is this happening? Why, when I'm trying to cultivate money, would I lose it? And so I think that there was also some, I don't know, a combination of like embarrassment, shame, lack of confidence in my ability to create abundance.
But I think all entrepreneurs have experienced that. We do spiritual work or practical work to bring new clients and money in, and then we somehow manifest some major expense or some other reason for the money to go right back out again.
Absolutely. That's not uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it was important to recognize what it was what was coming up for me. And then what I remembered was that the universe likes to test.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So you've tried on this new pair of abundance clothing, and the universe wants to check that it really does fit well, and you're going to hang on to it and not just let it straight go again and go back into the rags of the starving artist.
They're like, how deeply do you actually believe this? And how easy is it going to be for you to give that up? And that's I think one of the messages that when I opened up to really ask, like, okay, like what is this here to teach me? Like, what is
that?
it?
Let's repeat that. It's a great question, but say that question again.
What
Jessica.
is this here to teach me?
So instead of getting angry with the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, you're asking, hey, this thing that was painful has happened. What is it here to teach me?
Absolutely. And that comes from something that and I like to, when these things happen, I like to really come back to my beliefs. What do I truly believe? And one of the things that I truly believe is that the world is happening for me. It's not happening to me.
Oh, I love that. World's happening for me.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
It means that everything is unfolding for my development, for my evolution, for the greater good, and to support where I'm putting my attention and my energy. It's not that these things are happening to me, like I'm a victim in my life. I don't believe in tapping into a victim mindset and really believing that
but so many people do go to victim and complaining and
I think that we're
poor
taught.
me.
We're taught that. It's definitely a big part of our culture.
Where are we taught that? Is there a special class you go to at high school? Victimhood 101.
I think it's passed down from generation to generation as like a survival technique, honestly.
But I think they do teach it in school subtly,
Yeah, there's a lot of things they teach in schools that's not on the curriculum.
Really? Could you give us a short list? So check them off.
I have my own list of things that I believe should be taught in schools.
I'm curious.
Oh, what I think should be taught in schools?
No, that aren't a good idea.
So conformity, for one. I think that conformity is taught in schools. That it's safer to fit in than to stand out. I think that another thing that has been, and this is my own personal experience with school, I think that another thing that's taught is that your worth is based on your grade and like how well you can perform.
Yes, and grade there could be both an A, B, C, or D. It could also be how well you perform in the sports team. Or whatever the thing is.
Yeah, and your worth is
external.
Equivalent. Yeah, exactly, is external.
As opposed to intrinsic, it's you're worthy.
Which is what I believe, no matter what. No matter what, right now, in this moment, you're whole and you are worthy. I don't care how far you can kick the kickball or how good you can write that essay. Like, you are worthy. And I don't believe that is taught in schools.
So conformity, intrinsic, extrinsic worth is what they teach in high school. What else do they teach that's not on the curriculum but affects people's ability to have a successful business?
That's a good question.
So the idea that you have to learn a subject before you're allowed to do anything with it, I think, is there, rather than you should experiment and see what works.
Yeah, and there's a right way of doing things as well. A right way of learning. Like they say, there's this right way of doing things. And absolutely agree. Like being able to just experiment and play rather than being focused on being right.
Right.
Or perfect.
Yeah, I was going to say this leads to perfectionism, which a lot of people have, and is not really a useful skill for business. I mean, it's good to do things well, but
do your best.
Do your best for your customers and yourself and your staff, but
knowing that our best changes every day.
But people get, stuck. I know I do. I don't even get started on a task because it has to be done perfect. When really, if I actually sat down and did it, it might be done in 10 minutes. It's like, oh, was that easy?
Yeah. I just had a breakthrough with this actually in my business, because I was taught perfectionism and that you need to do things perfectly. And so I really felt like I couldn't put anything out there and offer anything until it was perfect. Like I needed to work through it, work out all the kinks, like get it perfect before I could put it out. And again, coming back to this, like, what do I really believe? And I'm like, I actually don't believe that you have to make it perfect. I think that you can evolve with your offering. And the best way to do that is just to start putting it out there.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so, at the beginning of this year, I had something that I was going to offer, and I knew that it had room for growth, but I wanted to let it grow alongside with us instead of needing to make sure that it was perfect. Because I felt like if I wait for things to be perfect, then it will might
never come out.
Exactly.
And then you won't have helped the people you could have done in the time you didn't put it out.
Exactly.
So, any other things that come to mind that get taught in school that get in people's way running their business?
I'm sure I could probably come up with a lot if I had time to sit and write about it, but nothing's really coming to mind for me right now. Something for you.
Listeners, let us know in the comments if anything comes to you. I will tell you one other thing that comes to me, which is punishments. There's a lot of punishment in school, either shaming or physical punishment or stand in the corner or whatever. And I think we internalize that and then start, beating ourselves up in our own head around stuff that is not good enough or we're not good enough. And then it's very hard to take action in our business with that little voice going on. So.
Absolutely. That actually reminds me of something too.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that I think so much is put on this whole like trying to fit in thing where it's hard to stand out, and because
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I appreciate that about you. I do. And where I know that when I was younger, that definitely happened, where I started, I realized that by being different and being eccentric and being, like putting out like my play, I got bullied, and so it made me feel like the more I put myself out there, the more people that see me, the more people can hurt me.
Oh.
And so it's like that visibility, right?
Yes.
That it's not safe to be seen.
Right.
And if you really believe that, then you're not going to put yourself out there.
Not going to promote your business. Yeah. Not going to write that book because people might criticize it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not going to make that video because people might laugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very big one for a lot of people. Can't grow my business too big or successful because people might be envious or angry.
Right. Yeah. You'll separate yourself from people.
Right. Yeah. What a disabling thing that schools teach there. I think they call that the tall poppy syndrome, among other things.
Yeah.
The tall poppy will be cut down. I think that's a Japanese thing. They have a particularly constricting form of education in Japan.
Stay the same.
Stay the same, yes.
Yeah.
All be under good behavior.
Yeah.
Another thing I've noticed in schools is that everything's run by bells. The lesson begins when the bell goes, and then even if you're excited about something, the bell rings and you have to stop working on it, and then flip to something else instead of continuing on something you're really into.
Yeah.
So there's probably some other things in school. We'll think about it anyway. Well, if anyone has anything in the comments.
I have another one.
You have another? Yeah, more, and there's more.
Yeah, there's more. It just came to me.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about how in school it's like you wake up, you're like have to be at school by like 7 or 8, and then you're in school all day, like going from class to class, working with not a lot of breaks, and then you're loaded with a bunch of homework that you have to do as soon as you get home, and so the time that I had when I was in school for like free downtime, rest time was very minimal. It was like work, study, work. And I feel like for me, I like to be able to choose a life where I get to put my work out there and put like dedicated time into my creation so that I can live a life of joy and play and rest as well. So so I think that
work-life balance.
A work-life balance.
Yes. Oh, thank you. I hope you guys can hear the birds in the background. They're so beautiful. Yeah, that's very true. Schools don't give downtime to have creativity and inspiration and connection to your own intuition.
Yeah.
I think partly because they want to train little work robots to go, work in offices and not to create their own businesses, because that would be too upsetting. And also, people who are independent and creative would be harder to control.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the modern school system, as I understand it, was started in Germany and the United States about 140 years ago, maybe, something like that. And they did it because they needed citizen soldiers. And if you're going to have someone fight for your country and possibly get shot at, maimed, or killed, they'd better be able to obey orders without question. And so the school system was designed to create people who could read and write and do enough arithmetic that they could be competent soldiers or factory workers, but not be troublemakers.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone off on a little bit of a tangent there, but
Hope
we're
you
very
enjoyed it.
Yes, it was very interesting for me.
Yeah.
So I held space for you, and just to clarify, if people want to get someone to hold space for them, or they want to hold space for someone else, what are the key things you think? Because you're a coach yourself, you know how to hold space. What are the key things for holding space? What should you do? What should you not do?
Listening is key. Really giving the person space. If you ask them, how are you doing, or if you can tell me what what's real for you right now, how are you feeling, and listen.
And that may not just be the words too. It might be their expression or what they're not saying.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, or the tone of voice.
Also, not to go right into fixing mode.
Yes, no fixing, I would say.
Yeah, no fixing. Just
so no solutions, no stories about yourself.
Correct.
Yeah, because that's a form of fixing, right? Where you say, "Oh, what's happened to me, and I did this."
Yeah, it's a really beautiful skill to be able to just witness somebody and with compassion and an open ear and validate. That sounds really frustrating and really hard.
Yeah.
And,
so mirroring back in your own words what you heard.
Yeah.
So that the way of validating. And then I would include under fixing when someone's crying, trying to comfort them and offering them tissues, and putting your arm around them in order to stop them crying because it's uncomfortable to the listener.
Right. Like people can feel when you're uncomfortable because they're crying. I don't think that there's anything wrong with giving somebody a tissue or like rubbing their back or something like that if it feels like that seems appropriate. But I like to let people know, let it out. I like to say, this is a safe space.
Yeah.
You can be however you feel like you need to be, and I'll just hold a container for you and let me know if you need anything.
So holding a container for me means I'm kind of the neutral, godlike observer, and I'm not, I'm just noticing these emotions coming out and listening to them, but I'm not kind of taking them into my own little shame tank where I store all my stuff. So it's sort of like that. If you've ever studied Aikido, that's where, it's that Japanese martial art where someone's going to hit you and you kind of at the last moment step out of the way and watch their punch go sideways. And the same thing with a strong flow of emotions. I can observe it or I can take it into my heart. And for me, when I'm doing this neutral observer, I'm observing the emotions. I'm not trying to what's the word?
Empathize?
Yeah, I'm not trying to emphasize. I'm not trying to take it into my body and feel it in my body.
Yeah.
So I can be compassionate.
Absolutely.
But I'm not.
You don't have to take it on.
I'm not taking it on, and that's a very subtle distinction that I think a lot of people get stuck on.
Yeah, you felt like a very safe container for holding.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Yes. So, having expressed this, and I know you expressed it with another person here as well in different ways, to bring us to how you turn this around. What did you do after you cleared out all this energy in your throat and chest and all those emotions and emptied out your shame tank?
Yeah. So this happened in the morning, so I had the whole day to process.
Yes.
And I recognized that there would be moments where I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good. Like I'm feeling like I've processed through, and then all of a sudden it would hit me again and I would get that lump in my throat, or I would remember how much money I had lost, I had stolen from me.
Yeah. And, this is a big amount of money for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a big amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I also, the other thing was when I come back to like what I believe in and how I like to live my life is through trust. Like I really like trust. I want to lean into trusting that I am held and that everything will work out and that I'm held.
Held by the universe, I assume you mean there. Is that right? Or something
both
else?
that and my community.
Wow.
I think that I have a lot of people in my life that I love and that love me, and the connections that I've been able to create with my family and my friends and the people that I've worked with. I know that there are people supporting me, and that will hold me when I need to fall or lay down.
There you go.
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry about the construction noises, guys. No worries. So
I'll speak up a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah. So moving.
Lean in.
I'm leaning in. Another one of my beliefs. Hi. I noticed that it would come in phases. So I would feel calmness in my body, and then it would come back up. And then that night, I had a really hard time sleeping. Just it's still lots of things moving through, and just like what I felt was really important was to hold the space for the emotions that were coming up. So instead of feeling like I needed to suppress them and pretend like they weren't there, I got curious with them. And I was like, okay, what are you here to show me? Like, let me give compassion to this and talk it through, instead of being like, don't feel this way, tough it out, suck it up, like get over it, it's fine. To really think about compassion for all of my feelings and that they're coming from a place for a reason. And the best thing that I can do is just similarly be a container to hold the space to just witness so that I can release. And that brings up another thing that I really have been believing in a lot, which is you have to lean in order to move through.
Oh, let's say have to lean in to move through.
Yeah, lean in to move through.
Now, what does that mean to you? That you listen to your emotions and feel them? Or?
Yeah, I feel them. I get curious. When there are things that bring about fear, instead of ignoring them or turning away or, I choose to lean in. Yes. I say, okay, this is bringing up fear in me. And that happens, with growing my business as well. It's a huge factor in growth is I have to be able to lean into the things that scare me in order to move through and grow.
That's a great insight. I encourage everyone listening to move closer to the screen, lean in, feel what you're feeling. In this moment in your business, and maybe make a note to spend more time with that after you've listened to this, because otherwise we get stuck, and that's how people get stuck in their businesses. At certain stages of growth.
Absolutely. It can be scary, and that's the other thing is I like to bring forgiveness to myself for my humanness. Like,
you're human?
I'm human.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm like a very powerful being.
Yes.
And I'm human, and I have human emotions, and things are going to scare me, and I'm, still working with beliefs that I've created that I'm like needing to recognize and let go in order to grow, and that can be very uncomfortable. But you don't
I
get
think
growth.
Comfort's overrated.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I've been called a creature of comfort. I literally try and wear clothes that are as close to pajamas as possible. I like wear cute pajamas because I want to be really comfortable in my body. And I believe that.
Well, I think comfort of clothing is different from comfort in emotions.
Yeah.
I don't think we get any business growth points for wearing high heels or, clothing that's too tight to wear or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, okay. But we're talking about being okay, I'm doing something in my business. It's bringing up old stories. It's bringing up emotions.
Yeah.
And being okay feeling those, being interested in them instead of pushing them down and letting them move through.
Exactly. So I talked to myself.
Yes.
I literally would talk.
Really?
I talked to myself.
What did you say?
I would, different things. Okay, so where is this coming from? I also would say, like, it's okay that you're feeling this way. And it helps me sometimes to talk things through rather than I have a mind where things can start to spin around a little bit and go, kind of just start to circulate. And so the two tools that I use in order to not continue to this spin is to write things down. So I'll spend some time writing and journal it. Ask myself some questions. How are you feeling? And I'll answer it. What is this, do you think, teaching you? And I'll answer that. And I'll just, have some prompts and I'll answer them. And then I also put on a voice recorder and just talk to myself.
Wow, how
I coach
cool.
myself.
Yes, how cool.
Yeah.
Similar things. You ask yourself questions, just say whatever comes out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then based on what comes out, my like wise mind coaching self will ask a question to be like, let's get some more clarity on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And you find that stops the, we need to lean in again here.
Oh, yes.
That stops the thoughts going round and round and round in your head as you're worrying at night. Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Those are two great tips, because I know a lot of entrepreneurs who have insomnia and they wake up with crazy thoughts going round and round. So two great tips there.
I highly recommend.
So you wanted to shift this manifestation.
Yes.
So instead of manifesting money and it goes away immediately, what did you want instead?
I wanted abundance. I wanted to manifest. I wanted to continue manifesting money coming to me. And so I spent the whole next day just kind of self-care, doing a lot of self-care, resting and nurturing myself. And then I got really clear on, okay, this happened, and if I believe that this is a possibility for some sort of a test of me really coming back into confirming what it is that I do believe, what do you believe? And I believe that I am abundant, and I believe that I choose compassion, and I choose forgiveness, and I choose to lean in. And I really validated that for myself, that is what I choose. And I did some visualizations that day on Sunday, the day after, where I just imagined like abundance and energy moving through me, and like that I was attracting it, that I was like a magnet for it.
That's so inspiring, because so basically you lost all your cash, large amount of money, but you were visualizing money coming to you and love coming to you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how long did it take for this to actually produce any results?
Hours?
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
A couple hours, actually.
Wow. What happened?
So a couple hours after really sitting down and doing visualizations and making this, connection, I had somebody reach out with interest in being a client.
Wow.
So that happened within hours that same night. And I talked with them about starting that next day. And then in the morning, that next morning on Monday, another person reached out to work with me. Wow. Which was amazing. So 2 people within what felt like 12 hours.
Wow.
And then I started working with these 2 people that next day. And on Monday, the following day after this, I went out for my lunch break, and then I came back, and at the front desk was a little envelope, a little like bag folded, and the front desk said, "This was left for you from the last reception." And I asked who left it, and they said it didn't have a name on it, and they said, "We don't know, we weren't here." And so I opened up this bag and looked inside of it, and there was a bunch of cash inside of it.
Wow.
Yeah, equivalent to pretty much how much I lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my heart filled with so much love and joy, and I was just like, my whole body like lit up, and I had like the biggest smile on my face, and I like was stunned too. I was just like, I almost was like, there was a moment where I was like, I can't believe this is happening, and then I was like, yes, I can. Like, I can totally believe that this is happening.
So what would you tell people who have a business about the power of visualization? Should they bother doing it? Should they spend any time, visualizing good things like money and new ideal clients coming to the business? Or
My answer is yes. I think it is absolutely worth the time to sit down and really visualize and meditate on what it is that you're wanting to create and really see that coming to you, see the abundance coming through you. There's a coach of mine that calls them energy pulls, where you sit and you literally are imagining you're pulling energy, and you can have it pull into you, you can have it pull through you. I am also a really firm believer that the more clarity we can get on what we're wanting to create, and then actually really feeling like we make the conscious decision that we're opening up for this. We're opening up, because a lot of times I've noticed I'm like, yes, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then in the back of my head, there's something that doesn't feel safe about it. And so I have to let that, check in with that and lean into, it's safe for me to receive this. It's safe for me to grow. It's safe for me to receive, and visualize that.
I would add on to the safe and say it's safe, right, and good for me to receive. Because sometimes we think it's wrong for us to receive money.
When other people don't have it, or...
Yeah, because
deservability.
there's all those beliefs people have. People have a zillion beliefs about money, 99% of which are not actually very nice beliefs.
Yeah, helpful.
No, they're not helpful, really. Money is the root of all evil, and money doesn't grow on trees. There's never enough money. Blah 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 blah.
Right, the list goes on. We're not.
I won't re-emphasize those. I think I have talked about those before. But similar to those high school beliefs we pick up, we often pick these money beliefs up from school or from parents or other people. Wow, so inspiring. And how long each day do you meditate and visualize when you're on the ball doing this?
Yeah, so I do a gratitude journal every single morning. I write 3 things at least that I'm grateful for in my life. And I would say that I do probably on the daily it can be as quick as a minute. It's at least a minute of just checking in. And then I also...
what do you mean, checking in? What does that mean?
Checking in, meaning checking in on where my energy is at.
Okay. Where your focus is.
Where is my focus? So I kind of think of myself as a compass. And so that check-in is like, where am I putting my attention? Where am I putting my focus? Where is my arrow pointing? Because that's where I'm going to go. And if I'm not constantly checking in about where my arrow is pointing, then I feel like I end up doing this a little bit, which is fine. But the more regularly I can check in and ask myself, where is my direction? Where am I feeling? What do I need to get back on track? Then I feel like it's...
And then how long do you spend visualizing the ideal clients or money coming to you?
I would say anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes.
Okay. So like a typical kind of meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. And then every day in the evening time, I ask myself for what is some words of wisdom or some sort of message that was wanting to come through from
for the day.
For the day.
Wow. What a nice practice.
Yeah.
You should write a book or something.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will.
Yes. Wow. Anything else you want to share that I didn't think to ask you that's important to tell the people watching and listening?
I think, just to reiterate how important it is to be really honest with our emotions and how we're feeling, and not to suppress, but to really have compassion and give the space for the processing of what comes up for us, so that we can really help ourselves move through it, and then ask ourselves and what we choose. So recognize that we have the ability to switch our perspective. So we can say, what is it that that I'm choosing to believe and put my energy into? And I think also just a reminder that we're way more powerful than we give ourselves credit for. You are a lot more powerful. You are a very powerful being. And the more you can practice that, believe it, play with it, the more fun it can be. So, yeah. Trust.
So, yes, those are 3 great tips. We'll put them in the show notes on the Intuitive Leadership Mastery website. along with some of the other great things you shared. And it just made me think those are not just good things for us to do ourselves, but potentially they're good things to share with our staff as well and help them, process through their stuff and be powerful beings. So we're all working together because, one metaphor of a business is it's like a car with different wheels, and if all the wheels are powerful and strong and they're all pointing in the same direction, the business is going to go somewhere a lot quicker.
Absolutely.
Than if, some of the wheels are broken and going in different directions, which is how many businesses operate, and then wonder why it's painful to be involved in it.
Yeah.
So cool. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
This was lovely.
Yeah. So if people want to find you online, how could they best do that?
Yeah, the two ways I recommend, either my website, which is jessicahuntington.com, or on Instagram is Heart of Jess. So heart_of_Jess.
Fabulous. Well, we'll put those two in the show notes too. And thanks so much for listening today.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.